I'm working at this moment on the south end of our 6-acre site. There's some old legacy infrastructure. It was going to be a greenhouse way back in the day. Now it's just a trellis for vines and all sorts of hops and things like that. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about the idea of how do you make headway in planting aspirations when the landscape looks like this. We had some really cold nights recently, cold days with some ice and snow, rain transitioning to ice. There's actually a little sheen of ice on so many of the different plants right now. And my mind is very actively in the process of thinking about digging and planting trees. And I want to talk about how I strategize so that I can get as much done this time of year and hit the ground running as soon as things thaw out a little bit more. We had a mild winter overall. There was not very intense deep freeze. And so although it looks like a really strong winter landscape right now, it is superficial. The snow is there, but just under the snow, the soil, especially in areas with high moisture, it's very, very easy to dig into. If I had the trees with me today, I would be actively planting, but what I'm doing is right now it is a Sunday afternoon. It's a quiet day where I'm working on my own, and I'm pre-flighting all of these holes. I'm basically getting each hole ready to receive a shrub or a tree. They'll be bare roots, so we don't actually need to dig an immense hole to do so. I'm not trying to dig everything away, move it far away, break it up, rototill. I'm just doing the primary work of digging a hole, getting the soil a bit broken up, so when I'm ready to plant, I can get in there very easily, lift the soil out and drop the plant in. You can see the wire there, which denotes the southern boundary of this property. And let me just talk briefly about these two holes that I just dug. In the middle between them is a Japanese walnut. This was seed grown, 2 or 3 year old plant, planted in the fall, I believe. I think the fall of last year, 2023. Really beautiful, open, sprawling canopy tree. It'll be a very broad tree in here. And I just went ahead and dug a hole to the south and slightly west and to the north, which will receive some support shrubs. So we've got Japanese walnut planted here this last year. There's an American persimmon right here, dormant amongst all the frozen debris wall there. Everybody merges together in this scenario. High bush cranberry growing, another persimmon. There's some river locust in that hedgerow. And so what I'd like to do is add in some support trees in the form of nitrogen fixers. I have some rooted autumn olive that I'm not able to sell because it's technically illegal, but they're fantastic ally plants in early succession pictures. So a cultivar golden fruited autumn olive here and there will grow into a dense shrub, giving us some more privacy and thickening up this hedgerow. It'll offer up fruit and medicine, nectar flow for bees, and then we can chop and drop as needed to feed our keystone tree. I know when I say autumn olive, that raises red flags for certain folks, so that's fine. If it bothers you that I said that, replace those words with gumi, or river locust, or alder, or nitrogen fixing shrubs, coppiceable, chop and droppable trees. Autumn olive, we found in this sort of landscape, complex succession affirming. In other words, we keep planting trees and shrubs. We are not doing a tillage regime. We're not doing a mining operation or a mowing scene. It works just fine to have them. They have not spread for us at all. Wandering out now to the western end of this property where I dug a few more holes for some other characters. We have seedling Siberian peach, which is a really promising, very cold hardy shrub rather than tree form of a peach. We have cultivar hazelnut, so we've grown from seed Yamhill and Jefferson, which we've offered through the website, and a number of people have picked up and are growing. And I'd like to get more of those characters in this landscape so we can collect seed and just start to really understand them. So pre-flighted some holes for those as well. You can see here it looks like a groundhog has been active in the late winter. There's 2 planting spots right there, and then a nice row through here. Let me chat about what those are here for. Since the Siberian peach is not a very large tree, I can plant them relatively close together. There's raspberry thickets in here. There's also a ground cover of skullcap that is naturalized through here. So there's a mentha family associate. So there's some canes, there's some aromatics, and so a peach tree might have a better chance here. and they get full sun, decent drainage. Even though there's a little pond there, there's a drainage line right through here, and it's right next to a main pathway, so I can keep an eye on them. There's also other seedling peaches through here for some pollination diversity, so hopefully those do well. In here I'm going to be able to do some trials for juglone tolerance question marks around hazel, in particular hybrid European American hazel. So I pre-flighted a hole here. There is a young black walnut which volunteered in the middle of the bed, and another one. And so let's just leave those, and we'll keep planting hazel, 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 hazel. So we get a nice dense little hedgerow of nut overstory and nut shrub layer. And again, I've just dug the soil off to the side. I'm not doing the final perfect digging, the final prepping, just making it a lot easier for myself. On Tuesday, so 2 days from filming this, I'll come back with those bare root plants. Things will have thawed by then based on what the weather will do. And so maybe it freeze thaws a little and settles and softens, and I'm ready to plant. I also realized that as climate shifts are happening pretty radically, we're seeing a picture that's a little bit more common, where we get some warmness in February and March that is strong enough, pushy enough, that plants like peaches and apricots, they start to swell buds and get ready to flower too early, definitely too early. And so they end up flowering, then a freeze comes and the crop is lost. That's happened more times than I'd like in the last few years. So there's an opportunity to trial Siberian peach in a different microclimate. In fact, right now I'm transitioning into the space that will be where we add some, and you can see the light has changed dramatically. Right where I'm standing is in the thicket of a new orchard of Siberian peach I'd like to try, and that is due south. We're just a little bit past noon, and what you can see happening is the sun is moving through these pines. So all winter there is almost no direct solar gain happening in this context, and then as we get past spring equinox and into the slightly warmer time, which is when I would want the peaches to actually wake up, they get more light. So for right now, I can plant some peaches on this knoll that will be next to some sea buckthorn, some cultivar female sea buckthorn, which will give them nitrogen. I can put a peach right here, which has got a thicket of blackcap raspberries I can weave around them for deer deflection, and another spot where a peach can go with sea buckthorn for nitrogen and Joe Pye weed for just a beautiful herbaceous associate. And over there, which is to the north and sunnier, that's where I was just looking at that row of hazelnuts under the black walnut, and 2 Siberian peaches, which will be in a fuller, more standard peach style orchard context of nearly full sun. And then as we transition into winter deep shade and summer full sun, we can do another round of peaches and just see if the offset of stimulating early spring flowering, if that's suppressed in here because of the shade. I suspect it will be. This area will be just fully bathed in the sun in another month or so. But for now, I think that shade might actually confer some possibility of a more reliable peach crop. If it works in here, we might transition a lot more apricots and peaches, almonds, those sorts of things to the north of pines, so that they can get full sun in the summer and full shade in the winter and keep asleep. You can see little holes everywhere. It's a great way to get things moved along in advance of planting. So I just talked about the other day that we're doing this local bare root sale, and I can imagine a lot of people watching this video that are in our general region looking out the window and being like, yo, dude, it is straight up winter snow out there. Well, in full solidarity of other folks that like to get up and running early, I'm out here right now in the blazing sun of late March, in the cold iciness of late March. You can even see the ice still on these buds, but still make some good headway in prepping spaces to receive plants. So I'll come back in a few days with actual trees in hand, and I should be able to get them in the ground into these pre-existing holes, probably under 1 minute per tree, just to get them rolling. And then we'll add herbaceous plants around them later. If time allows, we'll document that process. Who are the herbaceous allies that support these young plants? What are the meaningful guilds we can set in motion at the outset? But for now, I'm going to get back to digging some holes in the snow in late March, ready to plant some weird trees we grew from seed. Thanks for watching.